Now 13, we have a series of, what are we doing? We're doing an income statement. Oh, wow, this is a combo. And I think this is actually part of the presentation. So I might be able to help some folks who are doing the presentations for the very first time. This is the way to do the presentation. You start Zoom, you start your problem, you work through it, you check your work, you're done. What you've seen for me do over the last 12 problems is exactly what you're going to do for every presentation. You're going to open the problem up, you're going to work it out, you're going to check your work, you're going to revise your work and tell us right, and then you're going to submit it as a video. This one is use the following information, right, to prepare an income statement. Okay, income statement only deals with revenue and expenses. So of these accounts up here, there's cash, AR, office supplies, land, equipment, payables, stock, dividends. Those are all balance sheet activities or balance sheet accounts. So they don't have any relevance on this problem. What we do have is revenue and expenses. So this one's super simple. I would normally do it in Excel, but I'm just going to do it right here. And I got something in my eye. Now, the first thing on an income statement is you have to define the period. Okay, so an income statement is for a range of dates, usually. Okay, so you're going to look for something that has a range, not a date specific. So this would be for the month ended December 31st. You're going to always have revenues on top, revenues, and you're going to have expenses on the bottom. Okay. You're then going to start to fill out your information here. So consulting revenue, and you can type this in, consulting revenue, and that's going to be for $16,950. There is no other revenue up there. There's only expense. Usually expenses are pretty easy to find because they say expense. Revenue has some form of revenue in it. That's the easy part. Now we've got rent, salary, cell phone, and miscellaneous. So let's go ahead and drop those in. Rent. Salaries. There we go. Actually, I can go back. So rent was 4420. Salaries was 7,900. And we have telephone. And we have miscellaneous. Okay, so telephone is 860 and miscellaneous is 680. Pretty tricky there. Okay, so now you've got your total revenues and your total expenses. Now you have to fill in down here whether it's a net income or net loss. Now, if your revenues are greater than your expenses, you have a net income. If your expenses are greater than your revenues, then you have a net loss. So in this case, revenue is greater than expense, so you have net income. And the question is how much? So let's bring up the calculator. One of the few times I actually bring up the calculator. 16,950 for simple calculations minus 13,860. Okay, 3,090. All right. Now looks like everything's done. We check our work. And is done. Okay. Now for 14, I'm going to do 13, 14, and 15 all together. For 14, they're asking us for a statement of retained earnings. Now, the statement of retained earnings is going to have your income added to your earnings from before, minus any dividends to come up with your ending retained earnings. So in this case, once again, we have to start off with a date. Now, this is going to be the same thing. It's going to be a range of time, right? So for the month ended December, we're going to have our add net income because we had an income on the other one, which was, what was that? 3090. And we're going to have less dividends, which we have dividends right here. This should be minus 2,930, right? And it's going to be retained earnings as of the end of the month. Now, question is, do they make us put anything there? No. All right, so this is it. Let's check our work. Okay, so that's 14, right? 15, same information. Now we're doing a balance sheet. Now, before we were only doing these ones, revenue through expenses. Now we have to do the balance sheet accounts, which are cash through dividends. Although I think they summarize dividends in with retained earnings on this one. So let's work through that. Balance sheet is as of a particular date. Okay. So particular date ending December 31st. We're going to have first assets. We're going to have liabilities over here, very much like the accounting equation. And we're going to have equity right here. Right. This always happens. People forget to put in totals down here. So this is going to be total assets and liabilities. This is going to be total assets is total. This one's total liabilities and equity. My bad. And total assets. Okay, so now we have it set up. So now we can start to work through it. So here's cash is 8450, and just do them in order. Okay, accounts receivable is 16,950. We have office supplies. And this office supplies. Oops. Office supplies is 4080. We have land. Although land is usually after office equipment, doesn't really matter in this case. Just do what you know, or 6, which is the order that they gave you. We have office equipment. Oops. Office equipment is 18,860. Now, the next one, accounts payable, is a liability. So we're going to bring that over here. Okay, and that's going to be for 9280. And common stock is right here. It's under equity. Common stock is 84,920. Now, after we're all done, oh, there's one more. It's got to be retained earnings. Now, this is going to be the retained earnings that we had from the other. Okay, so that one, let's go to the previous. $160. That's the retained earnings at the end of the month. So let's put 160 here. And so now we match. So total assets of 94,360 match our total liabilities and equity of 94,360. We can check our work. Oh, answer is not complete. Oh, okay. Now some of you are going to run this exact same issue. You're going to get through it and think you're all done. But there's going to be a line someplace that wants a description, wants a title, whatever you want to call it. I'm missing a description someplace. Now, the question is where? And it's usually not total someplace. Now, I can only see one total where I don't have a description for it, and that's under equity. So let's return to the question. And voila. See this little thing right here? It says it wants something here with this line here. So let's go here, and it's probably total equity. Now, if we check our work, there we go. All is complete. So now we're done with number 13, 14, and 15.